Until they bring the streetcars back. Chapter 12. After a long practice, a nut goodie I'd stashed in my locker saved me from malnutrition. But when I got off the Shelby Laker streetcar and started hoofing it for home, I could have eaten a horse. On the way, I promised myself I'd bring up the subject without allowing another night to go by. I could smell bacon and waffles in the back stairway, and before my mouth was watering before I hit the kitchen. At dinner, I loaded up on waffles drenched in butter and maple syrup, and I tried to sandwich a word between my own eating and my father's disappointment. It could have been worse, he said. Green has taken control of the company, and all he's interested in is money. Not streetcars or people or service, just money, money, money. Who is he? My mother asked. Some New York stock speculator, probably never ridden on a streetcar in his life, has no idea or respect for them. I tell you, Lorene, I don't know what the world's coming to. My dad slowly shook his head and kept eating, trying to choke down his heartache with his waffles. My mother flopped another one on my plate, and I forced myself out on the limb while trying to sound like I couldn't care less. Is there some kind of law against parents beating their kids? My dad looked at me and raised eyebrow. One of your friends getting what he deserves? Don't wash your food down, Calvin, my mother said. Well, is there? I said. I mean, if a father is really cruel and hit a kid with a belt or something. I think that's against the law, my mother said, and she cocked her head at me. You know someone like that? Prescott said his dad beat him, Peggy said. No, I just heard some kids talking, I said. Some kids need a whaling, my dad said. Johnny Qualls had a kid pull his trolley the other night. Said he would have caught the little bugger if he hadn't been for his rupture surgery. Have more bacon, Horace, my mother said, and she nodded at me to push the plate towards my dad. McCluskey's dog kept me awake again, my dad said. The man should be reported, my mother said. I didn't want to give up on it. Who would you tell? The Humane Society, my mother said. No, not the dog. If somebody was beating a kid. The police, my dad said. You tell the police. Is it a friend of yours, Calvin? My mother said. It isn't anybody, I said, feeling like I was getting nowhere. I just wondered. I gulped down my milk, but I could tell my mother didn't swallow my story, and I wished there was a humane society for kids. I hurried through the racket in the halls where kids slammed lockers and yacked with friends, and I caught Gretchen at her locker. Hi, I brought the loafers. I'd stuck wartime silver pennies in the vamps and stuffed 4 pairs of white socks in the box. Oh, thank you, she said, and she looked surprised to see me. When she took the box, she glanced around like I was giving her counterfeit money or something. I'll see you in study. Put them on. I hurried away, but just far enough so she wouldn't catch me watching her in the gob of kids. After opening the box and gazing at the loafers for a minute, she stooped and put them on. The first bell rang and the kids took off for their homerooms. And when she walked up the hall, I thought they did help 1,000 times better than the chunky Oxfords. But with her hair and that terrible dress, the new loafers looked out of place, like a starving girl in a refugee camp wearing a party hat or something. I turned and admired her loafers before the bell in study hall. They look nice. Do they fit? Yes, they're beautiful, she said, and she seemed embarrassed with me staring at her feet. She pulled the brown loafers back where her dress covered them, and I turned around, expecting the bell to ring any second. Why did you do it? She whispered. God, I didn't know. Just something to make her feel better, I guess so. Or to look better. But I couldn't tell her that. I just felt like it. The bell rang and Miss Whaleman rose from behind the table and about to take attendance. I was confused about what kind of deal I'd gotten myself into. Did she think I wanted to be her boyfriend? Just when I was getting some trig done, I felt her lean towards me. I don't think I'll go crazy now, she whispered. After our high Y meeting Tuesday night, Tom caught me outside the church as we were scrambling for a few cars. Cal, have you got a date for the dance? No. Are you going to get one? Nah, I'm going stag. I kept an eye cocked on Jerry's car to make sure I didn't get left behind. Would you do me a big favor? Tom said. What? Would you take Lola to the dance? I stopped in my tracks in the shadows of the church lawn. Not sure that my ears had picked up the voice of God. Jerry honked, but I stood there stunned, expecting to see a burning bush or something. My dad won't let me go steady with her anymore, so I'm taking her best friend, Mari B. McGrin, to the dance. If you take Lola, Lola and I could still dance together, and you could dance with Mari B. You know Mari B. She's nice and she's fun. Does Lola know about this? I said, starting to suspect Jerry was behind it, but Jerry didn't know how I felt about Lola. Yeah, she knows. All you'd have to do is pick her up. We can't double, though. My dad's too smart for that. I think he's got a spy. Will you please? You'd have fun with Lola. My heart was doing cartwheels in my chest. Well, I guess so. I said like I was doing Tom this huge favor. He slapped me on the back and thanked me like I just saved his life, and we both beat it for Jerry's car. Every Tuesday night, some of the sleepy neighborhoods of St. Paul looked like they were being invaded. Geez, all of a sudden 6,000 cars come pulling up and a ton of boys would pile out and beat it up to some house. Even though the school didn't officially admit the existence of the sororities and frats, all the clubs, including the sanctioned high Ys, met on Tuesday night, the only school night most kids could get out. Guys would pour into the house and throw themselves into the quicksand with foggy voices and sweaty palms to offer girls a ride home or ask them on a date or mingle and flirt in the hope the right girl might notice. Carloads would keep showing up from High Y and fraternity meetings, and after death-defying risks of the heart, kids would race off for other sorority meetings, dragging friends to the door and shouting goodbyes. I found Lola in the kitchen. Hi, I guess we're going to the dance Saturday, I said, holding my breath behind a phony smile, still wondering if this was a practical joke my buddies were pulling on me. Yes, thanks, Cal, she said, leaning close to my ear. I don't think Tom's father likes me. I hope you weren't planning on asking someone else. No, not really. You can't tell anybody about this, okay? She whispered, and I could smell her perfume. Okay, I said. Darn, that's what Gretchen was like. Was always telling me, and I figured I was piling up secrets like cordwood. I found myself wandering through the packed house with a grin on my face. Saturday night, I'd secretly sacrificed myself on the altar of friendship by clinging to Lola Muldoon as if I liked her.